Alright guys, we're going to look at the wheelchair. I'm going to push the due date on this up to next Friday. Alright, so you're going to create new document, call it Doggy Wheelchair. And we're going to go pretty quick on this. This is going to be version 1. We're going to have a couple versions because we want one that we can adjust to fit different sized dogs. So we're going to, first one's going to just basically fit a Chihuahua. It's going to be a really small dog. And here we go. All right, so sketch front plane, and let's see, center point rectangle. Those are R2D2. Okay. All right, so it's going to be 15 inches. Make sure you're in inches, by the way. 15 inches by 1.5, and extrude it by 12 inches. So this is going to be the platform that kind of wraps around the dog, and it's going to go from the midsection of the dog back to its hind legs. So what we're doing here is we're creating a wheelchair that can help out a dog that's either been had an amputation or born without the ability to walk on his back legs, or just went through surgery, and so we're going to create this wheelchair for it. So those are 3 by 1.5 inches. Those are just corner rectangles, and we're going to do another one in the center. We have to have the back and the front open, and we'll just have a kind of a beam that goes across the middle, and then we're going to put a pool noodle across the middle of that so that the dog can rest on the cushion for that. So we're going to find the center point, and I think I'm going to struggle with this one because it's still kind of off. I think I accidentally picked the center point of the bottom platform instead of the sketch. So I make mistakes. Anyway, so we're going to try to, I think what I'm going to end up resulting to is just make them parallel, and then they squish together. But I could have done a better job on this, at least this one anyway. So I made them coincident by picking the side and the point, but I'm still not centered. You don't want this thing to be off center, because if you strap this thing to the dog, it's going to be running sideways. You don't want that. So you got to find the center point, and finally selected the right sketch. And so I found the center point of that square, and I just click on those two lines or the points. And I think when I did not grab onto that point. There we go. Let's see if that works. Yeah, okay, that worked. All right, so that's centered, and so Chihuahua is going to be about 10 inches wide on its hips. So I think, yeah, I went 10, but we may want to go a little bit wider on that. But the beauty of this, you can go back and you can change it depending on the size of the dog. If it's an adult Chihuahua, it's going to be a little bit larger than 10 inches. So we got to make sure we center the front too. And so these two center squares are going to be removed from the bottom platform, and that's going to allow the dog to put its front legs up there and run. So that's where we're creating that. All right, so I'm going to find the center point. It's just slightly off, I think. I'm off by just like a real small amount. I think I don't hit my mark on the vertical, and it's so you can see my mistakes live, guys. So what I would do is I'd want to make that thing vertical. I think it gives me a hard time. I'm not sure. Maybe my other center line's off. I don't know. Let's see what happens if I match them up. So I tried to fix parallel, but then that wasn't working too well. So I think I just said let's go coincident. Oh, the parallel did work. Okay, I must have had something else selected. All right, so here we go. Now we've got everything measured. Now let's go. Oh, we don't have one measured. That's going to be 10 inches as well. And then I'm not sure if I measured the depth or not of that. So once I find some candidates, I got to call up the shelters and the SPCA and get a list of dogs that need this thing. Then we can go back into our sketch and readjust for the size of the dog. All right, so these two side corner squares are going to be where the axle is attached, and we're going to extrude that by 3 inches. So type in 3 inches, and there we go. And click OK. All right, so now we need to sketch or cut out a hole for the axle, and the axle is going to be 1.745 inches in diameter. So we want our the hole in this bracket to be 1.75 inches in diameter, so that the axle is just going to be just a little bit smaller than the bracket. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to find the center point. You hover over that and you find it, the square, and you bring it down, make sure it's vertical. You'll see the little vertical indicator. Press escape to let go of the line. I'm going to make another construction line going down the side. There we go. Bring that across and click it. All right, so there's my center point. So center point circle. And we're going to make this 1.75 inches in diameter. There we go. And we're going to extrude and remove. We're just going to select that, and we're going to pull it all the way through to the other side. Just grab on that arrow, pull it all the way through, and there we go. Hold on, I got to plug in my laptop. Battery's dying on me. Okay, can't have that happen. All right, so we got the axle holes cut out, and next step is to create the wheel. So we're going to create a wheel. There we go. All right, so we're going to create the wheel, and we're going to go sketch front plane. I think we're creating the wheel. Next step is, yeah, wheel. All right, so you right-click on the tab, and you can rename it wheel. I'm going all over the place on this darn thing. This is what it looks like when you're looking into a mirror, behind a mirror, behind a mirror. All right, okay, so it's running. Okay, sketch front plane. Zero in on the front plane. We're going to do a 8-inch diameter wheel. So it's going to be a center point circle. Bring it out, and we're going to measure the diameter for 8 inches. Select our measuring tape, dimension tool. Click in 8. There we go. So we're going to extrude this 1 inch. So half of 1 is 0.5. So we're going to fillet both sides by 0.5, which is going to round off this wheel. So we're going to select the edge. We're going to select that side, and then we're going to flip it around, right-click, and select that side. And we're going to fillet it by 0.5. So we know that the width of that wheel is 1 inch, so ½ inch and ½ inch on both sides is going to make that a round wheel. Okay. All right. So in other versions of this, I did create some designs on the wheel, but I think I'm going to leave that up to you, and I'll do that in another lesson. So now we have to do the axle. We're just going to do a center point circle, and we know that the width of the platform is 15 inches, so we're going to make the we're going to do 1.745, 1.746 maybe, just barely skinnier than 1.75. So we're going to make this 16 inches, so it's going to stick out a ½ inch on either side of your wheelchair, because the wheelchair is 15 inches wide. So now we've got the axle, we got the wheel, and we got the chassis. And so now we're going to create an assembly. I already got a tab already down there. You can create assembly by clicking on the plus sign on the bottom, and you just create assembly, and then you bring in your parts. So I got my axle, and I got 2 wheels. Bring them in. There we go. All right, so we want the axle to spin freely inside the brackets. So we're going to pick a revolute, and we're going to pick the end of the axle and the face of the hole that we carved out, and we're going to offset by 0.5 inches. So that centers it in the middle of your frame. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the wheels. We're going to change the dialog box to fasten. We're going to fasten the wheel to the face of that, rotate around, and we can see that it's a little bit too snug. So we're going to click on that arrow, and it's going to rotate the axis so that you have a little bit of space for your wheel to move around. All right, so then you're going to take the other wheel, find your the face of it, click on it, click on your axle, rotate around. It is a little tight, so we're going to go over to our dialog box, and we're going to rotate either one in the middle or the one on the left is fine. So now if I were to grab onto that, or I can press motion and it it'll start going. Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up. You do have to lock this thing down. So you have to lock an edge to your point of origin. All right, so you lock it in there, click OK. Now if you want to rotate your wheels, it's locked down and you can rotate your wheels. So you can grab onto your wheel, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a design. So I didn't know if we're going to do it in this one, but we're going to do a design. So we're going to select the surface, and we're going to cut out a hole in that, and we're going to use a 3-point arc, and we're just going to cut something out. So when you do turn the wheel, you can actually see the wheel turning because we have a little bit of contrast in the surface. So we're going to remove and just enough where you can see it, and then we're going to go circular pattern, and that's a feature, so we're going to change that to feature. Select your feature face, and then your axis is going to be the inside diameter of the wheel, and there you go. Put in 4, 5, 6 might fit. So it does update your wheel, and so when you grab onto that wheel and you turn it, you can't really see the other wheel turning, but what I'm going to do is go back to the wheel and pierce a hole through it so you can see that the other wheel on the other side of the buggy is turning as well. So I'm just going to go sketch, and I'm going to just do a center point circle, and I'm just going to put a small little hole through that all the way through the wheel so you can see what's going on. And we're going to remove and all the way through. Oh, I'm going to go back the other way. I think I forgot to go edit and then remove. I'm supposed to pick remove. And then you got to pull it through the other side. And blind, pull it through the other side there. Alright, and then go to the assembly, and it updated it. So once you pull that wheel around, you can see the other wheel on the other side rotating. That means you've connected it correctly, and that is your doggy wheelchair. So have fun with this project. This is going to be version 1. We're going to come up with a couple versions, and our final version will be the one that we present to the owner of the dog that gets this wheelchair. Alright, so have fun with this, guys. See you later.